And no up there. I think tonight I'm in the funny songs for famous people. So here's my introduction to the next person.
Should I start?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. If you are traveling from Terre Haute to Muncie, ask any farm boy just what you want to see. He'll point down the road to the shimmering lights of Indianapolis. What's the second verse? Ask any soldier at Fort Benny Harrison, from New York to Saigon, there's no comparison. He's gonna tell you, if you want it done right, try Indianapolis. Meridian Street, you are calling me. Hey, hey,
Ho,
you,
hey,
hey,
ho,
hey,
hey.
The meaning of life, that's a good question. What's that aroma Tom has indigestion? But I'm gonna tell you, if you want it done right, that's Indianapolis. Meridian Street, you are calling me. Hey, 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 hey,
Hey!
Indy 500. What is it? Hey, shut up! Indy 500.
I actually used this one in school to teach proper nouns.
500. I love to see
The
the
kids
car
looked at me
skidding
like I was,
into the pedestrian. Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Okay. Anyway, Meridian Street, you are calling me. Hey, hey!
Oh, hey, oh, hey. The kids did like that part.
Oh, Romeo and Juliet, Samson and Delilah, they've never been here, but that's beside the point. They're gonna tell you, if you want it done right, try
Indianapolis, Indianapolis, Indianapolis.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, if you are
Oh, wait. Wait a minute.
traveling for
No, we
Terre
don't want to do that yet.
Haute,
Oh. Okay. All right. So, famous people from Indianapolis. All this guy from Indianapolis, it was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan. That's why we're good. Then there was Jim Jones that went down and got everybody to drink Kool-Aid. That's not too good. David Letterman, he was good. And probably our most famous, Benjamin Harrison. Anyway, probably our most famous Indianapolis native that everybody's so proud of in Indiana is this lady right here. Sorry to play such a funny song to introduce her. Almost everybody out there knows her. This is a young picture of her. That is Jane Pauley. Jane Pauley. Today, I think she was 24 when this picture was taken. Today, she's like 70 or 71, and she's still in TV. And she has realized her Hoosier roots and really, really come around with them. So I'm going to tell you what the book tells first, and guess what? I had to look it up. So I got a little more information to give you. This picture was taken in 1989. So in 1989, I lied to you a minute ago, I guess, because it says she was 39, so she wasn't 24. That was earlier. But this picture was taken in 1989. She was 39 years old, born and raised in Indianapolis. I think she was born in 1950. We'll get to that in a minute. She was graduate of Indiana, so I probably should have played Indiana, but I was in the mood for Indianapolis. Not for India, for Indianapolis. Boom! Meridian Street. Now, okay, so she graduated from IU with a BA in political science. And in 1972, to help you kids with ages, I was just graduating high school. As I was graduating high school, she joined the staff at Wish TV in Indianapolis, and she was a reporter. 3 years later, Chicago called and asked her to come be the anchor of the evening news at WMAQ TV. I want to tell you something a little about that too, but I want to finish this first. 1976, she joined the staff of NBC's Today Show as a co-anchor. For 13 years, she was a fixture on that morning news show. She left the show in January 1990 and remains an active member of the NBC News team. That's not true, but that was true in 1989. Pauley says, quote, Indiana is my center. This is cool. It's my values, my historical roots. The word Indiana stands for my Hoosier generations, of which there are many. It took an outsider to reveal me to the obvious. See, she hadn't really realized that. We had done a feature about an Indiana farm woman. One scene showed her sitting around the dining table with her hired hands. It seemed very normal to me, but the writer commented that it was a scene that was uncommon in most of the world. What the writer was trying to tell me was that the dignity and the nobility of normal things are everywhere you look in Indiana. That's what brought her back. That realization. What, she realized it. Oh gosh. Jane Pauley is married to Gary Trudeau. He's the famous cartoonist. His most famous cartoon is it Doonesbury? I don't think it's Doomsbury. I think it's Doonesbury. And they're still married. Had 3 kids, 2 twins, and so Jane Pauley has very strong Indiana roots. And now I want to tell you just a little bit more about her. We'll try to. I won't. It may take me just a minute because when I try to keep 2 things on my phone here, it never works out that way. So. If you are traveling from Terre Haute to Muncie, ask any schoolboy something. Anyway, he'll show you the lights of Indianapolis, Meridian Street. Hey, if you didn't notice, that was Haywood Banks on Bob and Tom. Some of you knew that. Well, I just killed some good time to get back to where I wanted to be. Now, I may not make it in 10 minutes now, but I may. I don't want to tell you that we haven't already talked about. There was a little bit of a funny situation when she left the Today Show in 1989. A lot of people, 1989. So when this was photographed in this book, Hoosiers, in January 17th of 1989, she was still with NBC. But it looked like she was being pushed aside when she left the Today Show by a newer, younger version of her named Deborah Norville. This is Pauley, or Norville took some punches from the media, and Pauley remained revered by everybody and went on for more than a decade. Anyway, and it said she went on for more than a decade being the host of, used to be one of my favorite shows before my wife died, NBC's Dateline, the primetime Dateline. I can't watch it anymore because I can't watch anything when anyone's going to die, and I know it. But it used to be one of our favorite shows. Then she left that show. In fact, she left NBC, who that show was under, after 10 years or so, to get her own talk show, which was always been her dream. The only problem was the talk show was opposite Oprah. So, still, if you read this, if everything in her career she did, having that talk show was the dream of a lifetime. And then, after that talk show lasted 1 season, being opposite Oprah is just pretty much a death spot for a show. But then after that, when it was canceled after one season, she decided to reinvent her life and get herself together and get back on TV. And ultimately, I love Sunday Morning. One of my video segments, which is called Stop and Smell the Roses, is what they do at the very end of every show on Sunday morning, which is just get the camera out in nature and not say a word. Now, my nature right now consists of ducks and geese. So, but one of these days when I get myself to get out of the house and look around a little bit, I'll have some different ones. Anyway, Charles Osgood, who had been doing that show for ages, announced his retirement. And she was able to get the job. Backing up just a little, when she got that job in Chicago, she was the anchor, the weekend anchor during prime time, and she made history by being the first female anchor of an evening newscast on American television. That's kind of cool. And the whole story about how she got to I don't want this to go long, but the whole story of how she got to the Today Show is pretty cool too. Barbara Walters had quit the show to go to ABC. I said I wasn't going to tell her, I'll just make it short. And they had people temporarily filling in. Betty Furness was filling in. Furness. Anyway, they asked for Jane Pauley to fill in for Betty, and Jane Pauley did not realize, somehow she found out the night before, that they were actually doing a trial run to see if they wanted to offer her the replacement job for Barbara Walters. And it said she was so nervous that she slept 45 minutes that night, that's it. But when she filled in, she did a good job, she won the job, and for more than a decade she stayed at the Today Show. We'll skip some of this other stuff. I want to get to this part. It said when she finally wrote a memoir in 2004 called Skywriting Life Out of the Blue, she revealed a secret she'd been keeping from all her fans and really most of the people that knew her, unless you knew her really well. And that is, a few years before that, she had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. That's a pretty tough diagnosis. And she knew she'd been depressed, but the bipolar, so what she did is now that she knew what it was a relief, it was a shot, it was relief, and she tackled it head on and started getting the treatment she needed to get. And today, she is a huge advocate for mental health. She speaks about it, she talks about it, she writes about it, she opens up about what happened to her. She did a documentary on it. And then the thing that I thought was the coolest is I didn't know this. In Indianapolis, there is the Jane Pauley Community Health Center in Indianapolis, in her hometown. It was named after her. No, it was named after her. Polar bear. No, but they named it after her. And she finally said in her new role as a mental health advocate, I don't think when I was in TV I ever actually really changed a life. She said, but in my capacity as a mental health advocate, I actually feel like I had. Favorite interview ever was with Michael J. Fox. I'm going to skip down to the very, 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 very end. Oh, I can't skip the very end yet. Then, okay, so I'm way over time. Here's how it went. It went from Indianapolis radio station to Chicago, first woman evening newscast, to the Today Show, to her own show, opposite Oprah, that didn't last very long, not even a season, to morning host for the Sunday morning show. Charles Osgood announced his retirement. So she's followed some pretty big footsteps. Followed Barbara Walters' footsteps on the Today Show. After that followed Charles Osgood. There's only been, counting Jane Pauley, 3 people have ever hosted that show, and that show's got the highest ratings of a Sunday morning show. At least it did, unless it's changed. She supposedly is the one that came up with the phrase "bad hair day." A lot of people try to tell her they didn't, but that's a whole funny story too, but this is too long. We'll get to the very bottom. Yeah, I don't know where it is. I don't know what I was going to say. Can't find it. It was something smart she said. It was advice that she gave some 25-year-olds once when she talked to them. Well, I'll find it in just a second. This is why I take notes, because this doesn't work. Oh, here it is. Okay, she was talking to college students in her audience, and they would be soon starting their own careers. Here was her advice, and I love it. I may put it on a poster. Her advice was, don't wait until you know the destination before beginning the journey. Don't wait till you know the destination before beginning the journey. And then the last thing she said was, the brain learns from failure, not success. And now, this probably, besides my dad's, will be the longest one, because I like her. So let's finish up here.
Romeo and Juliet, Samson and Delilah.
I love the end of this song.
Never been here, but that's beside the point. They're gonna tell you if you want it done right. Try
Indianapolis, Indianapolis.
Yes. Oh, if you travel
From Terre Haute to Muncie.
ask any farm boy, just watch it once. It pours down the highway to the shimmering lights of
Indianapolis, Indianapolis, Indianapolis. Sing, Pauley. Hey, we're dancing, Pauley. Bye.